Welcome back to Growth Over Easy. We are in week 4 of our 5 relational patterns that are quietly killing your connection. Before we jump into today's pattern, if you would like a nice, pretty PDF with all 5 patterns listed, go to growthovereasy.com, subscribe to my Substack, and your PDF will be in your welcome email. Today, we are talking about the performance. Why being the easy one is slowly starving your relationship. Maybe this is something that you do. Does this sound like you? Are you the person where everything is just fine? You're fine, your partner asks if something's wrong, you say no, they ask again, you say you're sure. And part of you means it because you've gotten so good at being fine that you don't really even notice anymore that you're not. That is living in the performance. And what that can look like in real life is being the low maintenance one in the relationship, minimizing your needs so your partner doesn't feel burdened. It can be saying yes when you really mean no, letting things go that are actually really bothering you, feeling quietly resentful but not knowing why because nothing specific has happened. It can be being told you're so easy to be with and feeling kind of like, oh, okay, I guess that's good. The relationship, when you're living in the performance, the relationship can feel really smooth on the surface, and underneath, it can feel like starvation because your needs are never getting met. I used to live completely in the block of the performance. I remember when I was about 17 or 18, I had come home from college. I was in my parents' kitchen with my brother and a few of his friends. I forget the conversation, but in the middle of it, one of my brother's friends said to me, "Lily, you are the most passive person I've ever met." And at the time, I thought he was complimenting me because I thought what was important was to be likable, was to go with the flow, be agreeable. Everyone liked to be around me. I was so easygoing. And I thought that this was just who I was and also how I should be because it clearly was serving some kind of purpose in my life at the time. But the reality was I was living the performance. I was in such a place where I believed that having needs was not just weak, but unlikable. That I needed to be so easy to get along with. I needed to be so go with the flow in order to have safety and security. So, what's happening on a nervous system level, if you're someone who also experiences being in the performance, is the fawn response is coming online. And likely, your nervous system learned early on when you were little that having needs created problems. Maybe your needs were too much for a parent. Maybe asking for things led to conflict or rejecting or being made to feel like you're a burden or being made to feel like you're a burden. So your system got very good at hiding them. Now, this isn't a weakness. This isn't like, oh, I'm bad, I'm wrong. Our bodies are brilliant. And I think of these adaptations of you did what you had to do to try to give you a sense of safety and security. It's an incredibly smart adaptation. I know for me, this adaptation, it made me really likable. It kept me out of trouble. It helped me make friends. The problem was these adaptations that we pick up when we're little, as we get older, we start to bring them into our relationships and they start to keep us from the love and connection that we want. Now, it's important to note that perception of reality when you're little is going to trump reality. I'm going to say that again. Perception trumps reality. And what I mean by that is I could be sitting in front of you and your mom and dad, and maybe you're telling me about your experience of being younger and feeling like no one was ever going to take care of you. And if you did ask for something, you would be rejected or get in trouble. And your parents may say, that's not what happened. You just never asked. And so it's important to remember that whether or not that was the reality for you, maybe it was, maybe you did grow up in a home where asking for your needs to be met, having big feelings, having like kind of a cry for attention got you punishment, got you in trouble. Maybe that's the reality. Or maybe it was just your perception of what could happen. But either way, that perception, what you experienced, that's what gets imprinted into the blueprint. That's what our nervous system remembers. And that's the adaptation that we've got to work with in order to shift out of being in the performance. If this is something that you're experiencing, again, it's not a weakness, it was an incredibly smart adaptation. If having needs was dangerous, you would stop having needs, or at least stop showing that you had needs. But here's the problem. In a long-term relationship, you cannot perform indefinitely. You just can't do it. The needs don't go away just because you've stopped voicing them. They hide, they go underground, and they start to build resentment. They can come out as you being distant or as this feeling that you're not really known by the person who's supposed to know you the best. And there's genuinely a difference between being easygoing and just having that as your nature. I'm a pretty chill person. That is a part of my personality. But that's different than the performance, because one of these comes from a place of security and the other comes from a place of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear that I'm not enough. If this adaptation of performance goes untreated, over time, it's going to damage your relationships because your partner can't meet a need if they don't know it exists. I like to think of this as unverbalized expectations. It's like taking a target, hiding it behind your back, and then expecting your partner to hit the target when they don't even know you have a target. So they think everything is fine because you keep telling them everything is fine, and you keep waiting to be seen without giving them anything to really see. And how this shows up a lot when I work with couples is in statements like, he should just know, she should just get me. It's this what I see is this like younger self coming out saying like, why don't they see that I need them? Why can't they, see what I might need later? Like, why aren't they taking care of me? And if you think about it through the lens of a child, like that's so sad. That's so scary to have been a little kid and be like, why don't mom and dad see that I'm scared and I need comfort? Why don't mom and dad see that I tried really hard on this and I need some like praise and some affirmation? And again, that adaptation came into play of pretending I don't have any needs, but the need is still there. And then we get into an adult relationship and we blame our partner for not getting us, for not knowing us, for not meeting the needs that we keep to ourselves. So over time in your relationship, you start to feel invisible. And they feel completely blindsided when something finally breaks, and then both of you are confused about how did we ever get here? So what do you do? What do you do if you've been living in the performance, it's wrecking your relationship, and you want something to change? Now, you're not going to fix this by suddenly sharing everything. That is too big. It will not feel safe to either partner. It will be completely overwhelming. We need to start small. Practice saying one true thing a day that you would normally swallow. Not a huge, big thing, not this confrontation, but something small and something low stakes. I want you to start exercising the muscle of asking for what you need because it's likely very atrophied right now for you if you struggle with the performance. So this could sound like, actually, I'd rather watch something else tonight, or I've been feeling a little off today, or even that comment bothered me a little bit. What you're doing is you're making your voice heard. You're allowing your opinion and what you're feeling to have space in the room. And you're not solving everything at once. Again, you're just building the muscle of having a need and letting it be visible. Because that muscle is what the intimacy is going to require. Intimacy requires us to use our voice. It requires us to share and be open and be vulnerable with the person that we're in a relationship with. Your partner cannot love the real you if the real you is always performing. Because even if they do show love towards that performance, towards the you that's performing, you will never receive it because it's like, it's not real. It's not the complete picture. And that's why the disconnection continues to happen. The performance isn't proof that your needs don't matter. It's proof that somewhere along the way, you learned that it was safer to hide your needs. And again, you don't fix this by demanding to be seen suddenly. You fix it by one small risk at a time. Saying the real thing, letting it land, and starting to build evidence for yourself that it is safe to need something in this relationship. It's not just vulnerability for vulnerability's sake. It's how can I stop being a stranger to the person I love the most? How can I start to show more of myself to this person? And how can I build trust that I can have a need, share it with my partner, and it's safe to do so? I hope this helps. If you are someone who's like, Lily, I'm so in the performance and I want to get out, go ahead and click the link in the show notes and book a chat with me. Let's talk about what this cognitive somatic approach to personal growth can do for you and for your relationship. And again, if you want that PDF, it's growthovereasy.com. Subscribe to Substack, and I'll see you over there. I hope you have a great week, and I hope you choose growth.
If you enjoyed this episode and you're a fan of the show, please subscribe and leave us a review. If you'd like to connect, you can join me over on Substack or follow me on Instagram @LilyRachels. Let's build love that grows.